AITA for demanding my husband to pay back the $6,000 he spent on golf clubs? I'm a nurse and have been working more hours for the past 6 months to be able to save money to fix the ceiling in our house. I've saved up to $8,000 in my account, and since my husband hasn't worked since 2020, I'm trying to balance rent and utility payments. My husband is a golf enthusiast, and so are his friends. The only difference is that all his friends are well off, and they can afford expensive golfing gear and trips. They mentioned wanting to go on a golfing trip next week and invited my husband, but he initially refused. Though, he really wanted to go, but complained about how his friends bought fancy golfing gear, while all he has is old gear. He asked if I could lend him $6,000 so he could buy a set of golf clubs, but I refused, because $6,000 for a set of clubs is crazy expensive, especially for someone who doesn't work. He got upset and accused me of holding his employment over his head when he couldn't help it. Anyway, I thought we were over this argument, but I had discovered that he had pulled the $6,000 out of my account and purchased the set behind my back. I went home and exploded on him. He swore he'd return the money once he gets back from his trip, but I told him he had no right to take the money and spend it on a set of clubs while the ceiling needs fixing. He said the ceiling doesn't require $6,000 either, but the kid's room was affected too. I demanded that he return the set or pay me the $6,000 right there and then. He told me I was being unfair to him and that he's feeling stuck because his friends can afford to buy whatever, while he's being yelled at for wanting something for himself for once. I told him to get a job and buy himself whatever. He tried to tell me he'll pay me when he finds a job, which is after he gets back from his trip, but I refused. He kept begging me to let him just go on the trip and we'll figure it out later, but I said no. If it wasn't for something as important as the ceiling, I would have maybe waited, but he's saying I'm abusive and controlling of his life. Edit. First of all, I'm getting too many comments. I'm too overwhelmed to respond. People that are suggesting I return the clubs myself. I can't because he never brought them to the house. I've never seen them, and I don't know where he's hiding them. I suspect his brother's house, but I'm on really bad terms with him and can't go to his house. So the argument now is just him pushing to get me to stay quiet till he gets back from the trip, but I'm putting my foot down and refusing. Advice: she needs to set up a new account for herself at a different bank. Then, she needs to refuse to pay for his greens fees and pretty much all recreational activities out of her paycheck. BTW. How's he paying for his golf trip? He's going to bitch about her the whole time he's away. Finally, she needs to talk to a trusted counselor, friend, minister, or colleague and inquire if they think divorce is a reasonable course of action. Advice: seriously, the entitlement. There is zero excuse for him being unemployed unless it's due to illness, which clearly in this case it is not. Even if he can't find work in his field, he can and should be looking elsewhere, so it's not all on Op's shoulders, especially given he wants to spend $6K on golf clubs to try and keep up appearances with his friend. He is an unforgivable asshole. Advice: your husband hasn't worked in 2 years, and he thinks $6,000 golf clubs are a reasonable purchase. That alone makes me deeply question his judgment, but the fact that he then stole your money to buy them is beyond the pale. This man is a selfish unemployed when literally everyone is hiring. Thief, and you clearly can't trust him or his judgment. Lawyer up and get this all out of your life. Advice: NTA. Do you have ways to contact the friends going on this trip? If you do, I suggest you tell him that if he doesn't return the clubs and hand you the money today, you will contact all of his friends and tell them he stole $6,000 from you to buy clubs when that money is to fix the collapsing ceiling in your children's room. And that it's money you earned working overtime as a nurse during a global pandemic while he sits at home, refusing to even get a fast food job. Be prepared to follow through. Embarrass the shit out of him. He obviously doesn't care what you think, but let's see if he cares what his friends think. Advice: this man married you? Says he loves you yada yada, and steals $6,000 from you while he hasn't worked in 2 years. So he's well enough to golf, but not to put a literal roof over his child's literal head? He stole $6,000 from you and from your child, whose very room in their home is negatively affected by the roof issue. Your kid deserves a safe and comfortable home, but no, daddy wanted some toys so he could get off his ass for once, only to pretend to be a big spender with his little friends. He stole money from his wife and child so he can go golfing. What is the value of this person to you?